Imagine a land where turquoise domes sparkle in the sun, ancient deserts whisper secrets of centuries past, and mountains rise so high they touch the clouds. Welcome to Iran, a country of breathtaking contrasts, timeless beauty, and hidden wonders waiting to be discovered. From historic cities to serene landscapes, this journey will reveal the heart and soul of one of Asia's most remarkable destinations. Join us as we explore Iran in stunning 4K detail and uncover its secrets that few travelers have witnessed firsthand. They told you this land was only desert, only headlines, only tension and silence. But what if I told you that beyond the noise of the world's narratives lies a country carved by empires, painted by poets, and crowned by mountains that touch the sky? What if the Iran you think you know is only a shadow of something far more powerful, more beautiful, and more alive? Today, we step beyond assumption. We travel into a place where history breathes through stone and light dances across ancient walls. This is not the Iran of stereotypes. This is Iran as it truly is. From above, the country unfolds like a vast and dramatic canvas. In the north, the mighty Alborz Mountains rise sharply, their peaks often wrapped in snow, standing guard over the horizon. Just beyond them lies the shimmering edge of the Caspian Sea, where forests grow thick and green, and mist rolls gently through the valleys at dawn. The air here feels different, cooler, softer, almost European in its calm. Yet this is only one face of the nation. Travel south and the land begins to shift. The Zagros Mountains stretch across the heart of the country like a spine of stone, ancient and unyielding. Villages cling to their slopes, and winding roads carve through rugged terrain, where shepherds still guide their flocks, as they have for centuries. These mountains have witnessed the rise and fall of kings. They have stood silent as armies marched and civilizations flourished beneath their watch. Then come the deserts, vast, golden, endless. The Dasht-e Kavir and the Lut Desert expand toward the horizon in waves of sand and salt, where silence feels sacred. Here, the sun burns bright and the wind shapes dunes into living sculptures. At sunset, the sky ignites in shades of amber and crimson, casting long shadows that stretch like memories across the earth. It is a landscape that humbles you, reminding you how small you are in the face of nature's raw power. Yet Iran is not defined by one terrain, one climate, or one story. It is a crossroads, a meeting place between East and West, between ancient and modern. For thousands of years, traders, scholars, and dreamers passed through this land along the Silk Road, carrying silk, spices, ideas, and faith. Empires rose here that reshaped the world map. Innovations in science, medicine, and art flowed outward from its cities into distant continents. But beyond geography and history lies something deeper, a pulse, a spirit carried by its people. Walk through a bustling bazaar, and you will hear laughter echo between brick walls. Smell saffron and rosewater drifting through the air. See colors spill from carpets woven with stories older than memory. Hospitality here is not a gesture. It is a tradition rooted in pride and warmth. A stranger is rarely left a stranger for long. In the capital, Tehran, modern towers stand against a backdrop of snow-capped peaks. Young artists paint bold visions in underground galleries. Cafes hum with conversation about cinema, poetry, and tomorrow's dreams. Iran is youthful, vibrant, and evolving, balancing centuries of heritage with the restless energy of a new generation. And still, beneath it all, history whispers. In ancient ruins scattered across the land, in fire temples that have burned for centuries, in domes tiled with turquoise and gold, the past remains alive. You do not simply visit Iran, you feel it. In the echo of footsteps across stone courtyards, in the call to prayer floating at dusk, in the quiet gaze of landscapes that have witnessed the birth of civilization. This is a nation of contrasts. Harsh deserts and lush forests, ancient rituals and modern rhythms, silence and celebration. It challenges you to look closer, to question what you think you know. So as this journey begins, leave behind expectation. Step into a land that has endured, adapted, and thrived for millennia. A land shaped by kings and poets, by mountains and wind, by resilience and grace. Iran is not a headline. It is not a single story. It is a masterpiece, layered with time, waiting patiently to be seen. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing before columns so tall they seem to hold up the sky itself. Imagine footsteps echoing across stone carved more than 2,000 years ago. What if I told you that long before many of the world's great civilizations reached their peak, a vast empire was already rising here, shaping history on a scale almost impossible to comprehend? This is where power once spoke through architecture. This is where the story of ancient Persia begins. In the plains of Fars province stand the majestic ruins of Persepolis, once the ceremonial capital of the Achaemenid Empire. Built under the rule of Darius the Great and expanded by Xerxes I, this city was never meant to be ordinary. It was designed to impress, to unite, to symbolize a realm that stretched from the Indus Valley to the Mediterranean Sea. Delegations from distant lands would climb its grand staircases, bringing tribute from across 3 continents. On the stone reliefs, you can still see them frozen in time, each carved with distinct clothing and gifts, representing cultures gathered under one crown. These ruins are not silent. They speak of ambition and organization, of a political system that allowed diverse nations to keep their traditions while contributing to a unified empire. The Achaemenids built roads that connected vast territories, created systems of governance that respected local customs, and minted coins that simplified trade. It was a model of administration centuries ahead of its time. But Persepolis is only one chapter. Travel to Pasargadae, and you find the tomb of Cyrus the Great, the founder of this empire. His legacy extends far beyond conquest. Cyrus is remembered for issuing one of the earliest declarations of human rights, allowing conquered peoples to practice their religion and live according to their traditions. His approach to leadership was not simply about dominance. It was about stability through respect. In a world defined by constant war, that philosophy was revolutionary. Centuries passed, empires fell, new dynasties rose. Yet Persia's influence never truly disappeared. Under the Parthians and later the Sassanids, the region became a cultural and economic bridge between Rome and the East. Trade flourished, art evolved. Zoroastrian fire temples illuminated the night, their sacred flames symbolizing purity and truth. This ancient faith shaped Persian thought long before the arrival of Islam, embedding ideas of morality and cosmic balance deep into the culture. Then came a transformation that would redefine the land forever. With the spread of Islam in the 7th century, Persia did not lose its identity. Instead, it reshaped the Islamic world through language, scholarship, and art. Persian poets, such as Rumi and Hafez, would later write verses that transcended borders and centuries. Their words still echo in homes and hearts today. Walk through the historic city of Isfahan, and you witness this fusion of eras. Safavid rulers in the 16th and 17th centuries turned it into one of the most magnificent cities on earth. Domes glazed in brilliant turquoise rise above grand squares. Bridges stretch gracefully across the Zayande River, their arches reflecting in still water at twilight. The architecture is not merely functional. It is poetry in brick and tile. Every empire left layers, every dynasty added texture, and through it all, Persia adapted without erasing itself. Its language survived invasions. Its art absorbed foreign influences and transformed them into something uniquely its own. Its spirit endured. When you stand among these ancient stones, you realize that this land has seen Alexander the Great march through its gates. It has witnessed Mongol armies thunder across its plains. It has absorbed shock after shock and still risen again. Few places on earth hold such a continuous thread of civilization. This is not just a chapter of history. It is the foundation of a cultural identity that remains fiercely proud and deeply rooted. The grandeur of ancient Persia was never only about power. It was about vision, about building something meant to last beyond a single lifetime. And as the sun sets over Persepolis, casting golden light across broken columns and silent stairways, you understand something profound. Empires may crumble, but ideas endure. The spirit of Persia still stands, etched into every stone, carried in every story, alive in every heartbeat of modern Iran. What if I told you that some of the most breathtaking architecture on earth is hidden behind walls the world rarely sees? That there are cities where every dome glows like a jewel at sunset, where entire skylines shimmer in shades of turquoise and gold? This is the Iran few imagine. A place where art is not decoration, but devotion. Where every brick, every tile, every arch whispers a story centuries old. Step into Isfahan, once described as half the world. In the 17th century, Under the Safavid dynasty, this city became the beating heart of Persian culture. At its center lies Naqsh-e Jahan Square, one of the largest public squares on the planet. As you stand there, surrounded by monumental mosques and royal palaces, it feels less like a plaza and more like a stage set for history itself. The Shah Mosque rises at the southern end, its vast dome shimmering in layers of blue. From afar, it looks serene. Up close, it overwhelms. Thousands of hand-cut tiles form intricate geometric patterns and flowing calligraphy. No two sections are exactly alike. The artisans who built it did not simply construct a building. They composed a symphony in ceramic and stone. When sunlight hits the dome, the colors shift, deepening and softening with the passing hours. It feels alive. Across the square stands the Sheikh Lotfullah Mosque, smaller but no less extraordinary. Unlike most mosques, it has no minarets and no courtyard. It was built as a private sanctuary for the royal family. Inside, the dome reveals a masterpiece of design. At its center, a peacock shape emerges from patterns so precise they seem almost mathematical. Yet there is warmth in the detail, a sense that beauty itself is an act of faith. Persian architecture has always balanced logic and emotion. The arches are engineered with precision. The gardens follow strict symmetry, divided into 4 parts to represent paradise. Water channels mirror the sky. Trees are planted with intention. This design philosophy, known as the Persian garden, spread across continents, influencing landscapes from India to Spain. It is a reminder that in this culture, nature and architecture are partners, not rivals. Travel south to Shiraz and you find the Nasir al-Mulk Mosque, often called the Pink Mosque. At dawn, sunlight filters through stained glass windows, casting rivers of color across the prayer hall. Red, blue, green, and gold dance across carpets and columns. For a brief hour each morning, the mosque transforms into a living painting. Visitors stand in silence, watching light itself become art. But Iran's artistic soul extends beyond mosques. In Yazd, windcatchers rise above desert homes, ancient ventilation systems designed to cool buildings naturally. Their elegant towers are both practical and beautiful. In Qeshm, historic merchant houses reveal hidden courtyards, carved wooden doors, and mirrored halls that sparkle like constellations. These cities were not built overnight. They were shaped by centuries of imagination, faith, and skill. Dynasties rose and fell, yet each contributed something new. Tile work evolved. Calligraphy became more fluid. Domes grew taller. Bridges became more graceful. The Siose Pole Bridge in Isfahan stretches across the Zayande River, with 33 arches, glowing softly at night. It is not just a crossing. It is a gathering place where people walk, sing, and share stories under the stars. What makes this architecture so powerful is not only its scale, but its intention. Every element carries meaning. Geometric patterns reflect the infinite nature of the universe. Repeating designs symbolize unity within complexity. Even color has purpose. Blue represents heaven. Gold suggests divine light. Art here is never random. It is thoughtful, deliberate, spiritual. And yet, for all its grandeur, there is intimacy. Step inside a centuries-old caravanserai, and you can almost hear the footsteps of merchants who once traveled the Silk Road. Imagine their camels resting in the courtyard, goods exchanged under lantern light. These buildings were the lifelines of trade and culture, connecting east and west long before modern highways existed. To walk through Iran's historic cities is to move through layers of time. Each tile holds fingerprints of the past. Each arch frames a piece of sky that countless generations have looked upon. The world often speaks of Rome, of Paris, of Istanbul. Yet here stands a civilization whose artistic achievements rival any of them. As evening falls and the call to prayer echoes softly across tiled domes, you begin to understand something deeper. This beauty was never built to impress outsiders alone. It was built as an offering, a reflection of faith, identity, and pride. In every curve and color, Iran reveals a truth often overlooked, that art can outlast politics and beauty can endure long after empires fade. What if I told you that beyond the deserts and domes, beyond the turquoise mosques and ancient ruins, there exists a side of Iran that feels almost untouched by time? A land where jagged mountains tear into the sky, where forests whisper in the wind, and where the horizon stretches so wide it humbles you into silence. This is the Iran most maps cannot capture. A country not only of history, but of wild, untamed beauty. In the north, along the edge of the Caspian Sea, the landscape transforms completely. Lush green forests replace arid plains. Mist drapes over rolling hills in the early morning light. The Hyrcanian forests, some of the oldest in the world, have survived for millions of years. Walking beneath their dense canopy feels like stepping into a forgotten chapter of Earth's story. Sunlight filters softly through ancient trees, illuminating ferns and moss that thrive in the cool, damp air. It is hard to believe this is the same country often associated only with desert heat. Drive west, and the Alborz Mountains rise dramatically, forming a powerful natural barrier between the Caspian coast and the central plateau. Snow crowns their peaks for much of the year. Mount Damavand, the highest volcano in Asia, towers above them all. In Persian mythology, it is a symbol of resistance and strength. Climbers who attempt its slopes speak of thin air and breathtaking views, of clouds drifting beneath their feet. From the summit, the world feels both vast and fragile. Further south, the Zagros Mountains stretch like a spine across the country. These rugged highlands are home to nomadic tribes who still migrate with the seasons. Their black tents dot the valleys in spring, surrounded by grazing sheep and goats. Life here moves to a rhythm older than modern borders. Children ride horses across open fields. Elders share stories by firelight. In these mountains, tradition is not a performance for visitors. It is daily life. Then there is the desert. Vast, silent, and endlessly mesmerizing. The Dasht-e Lut, one of the hottest places on Earth, seems almost alien. Wind has sculpted the sand into towering formations known as yardangs, creating a landscape that resembles another planet. At sunrise and sunset, the dunes glow in shades of amber and crimson. There is no noise, but the whisper of wind. No movement, but shifting sand. In that stillness, you become acutely aware of your own breath, your own heartbeat. Yet even here, life finds a way. Hidden within the desert are oases where date palms sway gently around cool water springs. Ancient underground aqueducts, known as qanats, channel water from distant mountains, allowing communities to flourish in the harshest environments. These engineering marvels are thousands of years old, proof that innovation has always been part of this land's identity. In the south, along the Persian Gulf, the scenery changes once again. The coastline stretches under a blazing sun, with turquoise waters meeting rocky cliffs. On Qeshm Island, strange rock formations carved by wind and sea create dramatic valleys and caves. Mangrove forests rise from shallow waters, their roots tangled like natural sculptures. Dolphins glide through calm waves, and fishermen cast their nets as they have for generations. What makes Iran's natural landscape so remarkable is its diversity. Within a single journey, you can move from snowy peaks to subtropical forests, from endless deserts to shimmering coastlines. Each region feels like a different world, yet together, they form a powerful whole. But it is not only the scenery that leaves an impression, it is the silence. In the mountains, the quiet is profound. In the desert, it feels infinite. In the forests, it is broken only by birdsong. That silence invites reflection. It strips away distraction. It reminds you how small you are within something so vast. For centuries, poets have drawn inspiration from these landscapes. They wrote of mountains as symbols of endurance, of deserts as places of spiritual discovery. Nature here is not merely a backdrop. It is a teacher. It challenges and comforts in equal measure. As the sun sets behind distant peaks and the sky shifts from gold to deep indigo, you realize that Iran's story is not confined to its cities or monuments. It lives in wind-carved cliffs, in snow-capped summits, in forests older than memory. It lives wherever earth and sky meet in quiet grandeur. And perhaps that is the greatest surprise of all. A country often defined by headlines reveals itself instead through horizons, through rivers and dunes, through landscapes so powerful, they leave you speechless. In that silence, in that vastness, you begin to see Iran not just as a destination, but as a masterpiece shaped by nature itself. What if I told you that in the heart of Iran, there are cities so beautiful, so precise in their design, that they feel less like human creations and more like living works of art? Places where every tile, every arch, every courtyard reflects centuries of imagination. Tonight, we step into the architectural soul of Iran, where geometry meets poetry and stone begins to breathe. In the golden light of late afternoon, Isfahan reveals itself slowly. The vast square of Naqsh-e Jahan unfolds like a grand stage set for history. Once one of the largest public squares in the world, it was designed not just as a space, but as a statement. On one side rises the magnificent Shah Mosque, its turquoise dome shimmering under the sun. Each tile is placed with astonishing precision, forming patterns that seem to ripple like water. Step inside, and the acoustics transform a whisper into an echo that lingers in the air. It is not just architecture. It is engineering, artistry, and spirituality woven into one. Across the square stands the Sheikh Lotfola Mosque, smaller yet equally mesmerizing. Unlike grand congregational mosques, this one feels intimate. Its dome changes color as the sun moves, shifting from soft cream to radiant pink at sunset. The interior glows with intricate arabesque designs, each curve flowing seamlessly into the next. There are no minarets, no courtyard, only quiet perfection. Isfahan's bridges tell another story. The Siosipol Bridge stretches gracefully across the Zayanda River, its 33 arches reflected in the water below. At night, locals gather beneath its vaulted passageways, singing softly. Their voices bounce gently off the stone, creating a natural harmony. These bridges were not only built for crossing water, they were designed as places to gather, to celebrate, to live. Travel south to Shiraz, and architecture blends with poetry. The Nasir al-Mulk Mosque, often called the Pink Mosque, transforms morning light into a spectacle of color. As sunlight passes through stained glass windows, the prayer hall fills with vibrant patterns of red, blue, and gold. The floor becomes a living canvas. Visitors stand silently, watching as light paints the walls. It lasts only a few hours each day, yet it feels timeless. In Yazd, the desert city, innovation rises from necessity. Tall windcatchers pierce the skyline, ancient cooling towers designed to capture breezes and direct them into homes below. Long before modern air conditioning, these structures offered comfort in extreme heat. Beneath the streets, qanats carried fresh water across miles of desert. Every brick in Yazd reflects adaptation and intelligence. The city's narrow alleys provide shade. Its mud brick buildings blend naturally with the surrounding earth. From above, Yazd appears as if it grew directly from the desert floor. Then there is Persepolis, the ceremonial capital of the ancient Persian Empire. Though now in ruins, its columns still rise defiantly against the sky. Carvings along the stone staircases depict delegates from distant lands, each bringing gifts. These reliefs tell a story of connection and diversity within one empire. Standing among the remnants, you feel the scale of ambition that once defined this place. Even in silence, Persepolis speaks. Iranian architecture is rooted in mathematics. Symmetry dominates every design. Repeating geometric patterns stretch infinitely, symbolizing unity and order. Calligraphy flows across walls, turning sacred verses into visual art. Gardens are laid out according to the concept of paradise, divided into 4 sections with water channels running through them. These Persian gardens, enclosed yet open to the sky, were designed to represent harmony between humanity and nature. But perhaps the most remarkable feature is how architecture here serves both beauty and purpose. Domes amplify sound. Courtyards provide ventilation. Thick walls regulate temperature. Decoration is not random. It enhances function. Every element has meaning. As evening falls and the domes fade into silhouettes against a deepening sky, the call to prayer drifts gently across rooftops. The tiles cool under the night air. Lanterns flicker in courtyards. The cities exhale. In these moments, you understand that Iran's architecture is not simply about monuments. It is about continuity, about knowledge passed from master builders to apprentices, about communities gathering beneath arches that have stood for centuries. Stone, brick, tile, and light. Together they form a visual language that transcends time. A language that tells stories of faith, innovation, resilience, and imagination. And as you walk through these spaces, beneath domes that echo with history, you realize something profound. Architecture here is not just something you see, it is something you feel. It surrounds you, guides you, and gently reminds you that human creativity, when rooted in purpose, can leave a legacy that endures for generations. Imagine standing at the edge of a silent desert at dawn, The horizon glows softly in shades of gold and rose. The air is cool, almost weightless. And in that stillness, you realize something powerful. Iran is not just a country of cities and monuments. It is a land sculpted by nature itself. Vast, dramatic, and breathtaking beyond imagination. As the sun rises over the Lut Desert, known locally as Dasht-e Lut, the Earth reveals one of the hottest places on the planet. Satellite measurements have recorded temperatures here that rank among the highest ever detected on Earth. Yet what truly defines this desert is not heat, it is shape. Towering yardangs, massive ridges carved by relentless wind, stretch for miles like frozen waves. Their sharp edges cast long shadows across the sand, creating a landscape that feels almost extraterrestrial. There is no noise here, only wind tracing patterns across the surface of time. Travel northwest, and the scenery shifts dramatically. The Alborz Mountains rise abruptly, their snow-capped peaks guarding the southern shores of the Caspian Sea. Mount Damavand stands tallest among them, a dormant volcano wrapped in myth and legend. In Persian folklore, it symbolizes resistance and strength. Climbers who ascend its slopes speak of thin air and endless views, where clouds drift below and the world feels distant. In winter, its white summit gleams like a crown above the valleys. Beyond the mountains lies a completely different Iran. The Caspian region is lush and green, almost tropical in appearance. Dense forests cover rolling hills. Rice fields shimmer under sunlight. Tea plantations stretch across the landscape in neat, flowing lines. The humidity carries the scent of earth and rain. Here, life moves at a slower rhythm. Fishermen set out before sunrise, their boats cutting quietly through calm waters. Wooden houses with sloped roofs protect families from frequent rainfall. It is a world away from the desert, yet equally Iranian. Further west, the Zagros Mountains carve through the land in dramatic layers of rock and shadow. Nomadic tribes have crossed these highlands for centuries, moving with their herds between seasonal pastures. Their black tents dot the valleys in spring, blending into the terrain. The mountains are not obstacles. They are pathways. They carry stories of migration, survival, and tradition. Then there is the coastline of the Persian Gulf. The water here shifts between deep blue and emerald green. On Qeshm Island, the largest island in the Gulf, geological formations, known as the Valley of the Stars, rise from the earth in strange, sculpted shapes. Local legends say the formations were created by falling stars. In reality, wind and water patiently carve the soft rock over millions of years. Yet, standing among them at sunset, with shadows stretching long and silence settling in, the legend feels almost believable. Iran is also home to wetlands and lakes that shimmer like mirrors. Lake Urmia, once one of the largest saltwater lakes in the world, glows pink at certain times of year due to algae and mineral content. Flamingos gather along its shores, their reflections rippling gently in the shallow water. Even in places facing environmental challenges, beauty persists. Seasonal contrasts define this land. In one day, you can drive from snowy mountain passes to arid plains. In spring, wildflowers bloom unexpectedly across dry hillsides, transforming them into vibrant carpets of color. In autumn, forests blaze with red and gold. Each season reshapes the country's personality. And then there is the sky. In remote regions far from city lights, the night reveals an ocean of stars. The Milky Way stretches boldly overhead, undisturbed and luminous. In the desert, lying on warm sand, you feel both small and connected. The silence deepens. Time seems to pause. Iran's natural world is not simply a backdrop to history. It is a force that shapes civilizations. Deserts encouraged innovation in water systems. Mountains provided refuge and protection. Forests and seas sustained communities. Every landscape carries influence. As twilight fades and darkness settles over dunes, forests, and peaks, a quiet understanding emerges. This land has endured extremes, heat and snow, drought and abundance, and through it all, it remains resilient, vast, and unforgettable. Iran's nature does not shout. It reveals itself slowly, patiently, to those willing to look. And once you do, it leaves an imprint that lingers long after you have gone. What if the true soul of Iran is not found in its monuments, but in the quiet moments between them? In the steam rising from a cup of tea, in the rhythm of a bazaar, in the laughter that echoes through a family courtyard long after sunset. To understand this country, you have to step beyond the postcards and into everyday life. Morning begins early in many Iranian cities. As sunlight filters through narrow streets, shopkeepers lift metal shutters and sweep the pavement in front of their stores. The scent of fresh bread drifts through the air. At a traditional bakery, bakers press soft dough onto the hot walls of a clay oven, pulling out long sheets of sangak bread speckled with sesame seeds. People line up patiently, exchanging greetings, asking about each other's families. Hospitality here is not performance, it is instinct. Step into one of the grand bazaars, like the historic market in Isfahan or the labyrinthine corridors of Tehran's Grand Bazaar. The ceiling arches overhead, filtering light into golden beams. Stalls overflow with spices in shades of crimson and saffron. Copperware glows under hanging lamps. Carpet merchants unroll intricate Persian rugs, each one woven with patterns passed down through generations. Bargaining is part of the culture, but so is conversation. Deals are sealed not just with money, but with tea and trust. Iranian tea culture deserves its own moment. In tea houses tucked into side streets or overlooking bustling squares, small glasses of dark, fragrant tea are served on delicate saucers. Sugar cubes are held between the teeth as the tea is sipped, dissolving slowly with each taste. Conversations stretch for hours. Poetry is recited casually, lines from Hafez or Rumi woven into everyday speech. Words matter here. They carry weight, memory, and emotion. Family lies at the center of Iranian life. Homes are often built around courtyards, private spaces where generations gather. Grandparents, parents, children, and cousins share meals that feel less like dinner and more like ceremony. Dishes arrive one after another. Steamed rice topped with saffron, herb-filled stews like ghormeh sabzi, grilled kebabs served with fresh herbs and yogurt. Meals are not rushed. Stories unfold between bites. Laughter lingers in the air. In parks across the country, especially in cities like Shiraz and Mashhad, families spread colorful carpets on the grass for evening picnics. Children run freely. Teenagers gather in circles, sharing music from their phones. Elderly men sit on benches debating football or politics with animated gestures. As the call to prayer echoes softly from nearby mosques, the sky shifts from orange to deep blue. The atmosphere feels communal, alive. Art continues to thrive in subtle ways. In small workshops, artisans carve wood into delicate patterns. Miniature painters lean over detailed scenes inspired by ancient epics. Calligraphers practice flowing scripts that transform language into visual beauty. Even graffiti in urban neighborhoods reflects a blend of tradition and modern thought. Iran's younger generation balances respect for heritage with a desire to innovate. Education holds strong value. Universities buzz with students studying engineering, medicine, literature, and film. Cafes near campuses fill with debate and discussion. Young Iranians are globally aware, connected through technology, yet deeply rooted in local identity. They speak of dreams, careers, and travel with both curiosity and caution. Religious life also shapes daily rhythms. Mosques serve not only as places of worship, but as community centers. During Ramadan, cities transform after sunset. Streets fill with people breaking their fast together. Lanterns glow softly. Food stalls offer warm soup and sweet desserts. The sense of unity feels tangible. Music floats through many layers of society. Traditional instruments like the tar and santur produce melodies that are both haunting and tender. In private gatherings, singing becomes spontaneous. Modern Iranian artists blend classical sounds with contemporary influences, creating a soundtrack that mirrors the country's complexity. And perhaps the most defining feature of daily life in Iran is hospitality. Visitors are often met with an invitation before they can even ask a question. Strangers insist on paying for your tea. Shopkeepers offer gifts. It is common to hear the phrase, "You are our guest," spoken with sincerity. As night settles over city rooftops, lights glow warmly behind patterned windows. The day winds down slowly. Conversations continue. Tea is poured again. In these simple, repeated rituals, Iran reveals its heart. It is not only a land of ancient empires and dramatic landscapes. It is a place of shared meals, open doors, and enduring connection. And in those everyday moments, its hidden masterpiece shines brightest. What if the final secret of Iran is not carved in stone, not written in ancient scripts, but whispered by wind and water. What if its true masterpiece lives in the silence of its wild places, where mountains scrape the sky and deserts breathe under the stars? To see this side of Iran is to step into a world that feels untouched, vast, and almost otherworldly. In the north, the forests of Mazandaran stretch like a green ocean along the southern edge of the Caspian Sea. Mist drifts through towering trees in the early morning, softening the landscape into something dreamlike. Sunlight filters through layers of leaves, illuminating hidden trails and quiet streams. The air feels different here. Cool, damp, alive. Birds call from unseen branches. The ground is thick with moss. It is hard to believe that only a few hours away lies one of the driest deserts on Earth. Travel south and the terrain shifts dramatically. The Lut Desert unfolds in waves of sand and rock, sculpted by relentless wind. At sunset, the dunes glow in shades of gold and crimson. Shadows stretch long across the ridges, turning the desert into a landscape of pure geometry. Silence dominates. There are no city sounds, no traffic, no distant hum of machines. Only the whisper of wind, reshaping the earth, grain by grain. At night, the desert transforms again. The sky above the Lut is vast and unpolluted, revealing a tapestry of stars so bright they seem within reach. The Milky Way arcs overhead like a luminous river. In that stillness, you feel small, yet deeply connected to something timeless. This is the same sky ancient travelers followed across these sands, guided only by constellations and instinct. Further west, the Zagros Mountains rise in dramatic folds. Snow caps their peaks in winter, while spring paints the lower slopes with wildflowers. Nomadic tribes still move through these highlands, following seasonal rhythms passed down for centuries. Black tents dot the landscape, blending into the earth tones of rock and grass. Life here is simple but resilient. Sheep graze on steep hillsides. Rivers carve silver lines through deep valleys. The mountains stand like guardians, unchanged by time. In the northwest, Lake Urmia shimmers under a wide sky. Though its waters have fluctuated in recent years, its presence remains powerful. Salt flats stretch along its edges, reflecting sunlight in blinding white sheets. Flamingos gather when conditions are right, adding flashes of pink to the horizon. The lake is both fragile and fierce, a reminder of nature's delicate balance. Along the Persian Gulf, the coastline reveals yet another face of Iran. On Qeshm Island, strange rock formations rise from the earth, shaped by centuries of erosion. The Valley of the Stars feels almost lunar, its cliffs carved into surreal forms that glow amber at dusk. Fishermen push wooden boats into turquoise waters as the tide shifts. Mangrove forests line quiet inlets, their roots twisting into shallow seas. It is a place where land and water meet in constant negotiation. Even the caves tell stories. In Ali Sadr Cave, vast underground chambers hold still, clear water that mirrors stalactites, hanging like frozen chandeliers. Boats glide silently through narrow passages. Light dances across ancient stone. The world above feels distant, replaced by echoes and reflections. Iran's wildlife thrives in unexpected places. Persian leopards roam remote mountain ranges. Wild goats navigate impossible cliffs. In protected reserves, gazelles move gracefully across open plains. These animals exist quietly, rarely seen, yet deeply tied to the land's identity. Season by season, the country reshapes itself. Spring brings blossoms to orchards and green to valleys. Summer intensifies the desert heat. Autumn sets forests ablaze with color. Winter cloaks mountains in snow, transforming them into playgrounds for skiers and sanctuaries for solitude. Through all of it, nature remains both powerful and patient. It does not demand attention. It simply exists, vast and enduring. As the final light of day fades behind a mountain ridge or sinks beyond a desert horizon, Iran feels less like a destination and more like a living canvas. Every landscape holds contrast. Every region reveals a new tone. From forest mist to desert fire, from mountain ice to coastal breeze, the country unfolds in layers of raw, untamed beauty. And when you stand alone beneath its open sky, you realize that Iran's hidden masterpiece is not confined to its cities or monuments. It is written across its earth itself, in wind and water, stone and star. What if the most profound way to experience Iran is not through its cities, deserts, or mountains, but through the stories carried by its people? A country shaped by centuries of conquest, trade, and culture, is defined as much by its inhabitants as by its landscapes. Walk through its streets, and you will feel a pulse that connects past and present, tradition and modernity, history and hope. Iran is alive not as a headline, not as a stereotype, but as a living, breathing society where every gesture carries meaning. In Tehran, the capital, modernity hums alongside history. Towering glass buildings stretch toward the sky, reflecting snow-capped mountains in the distance. Streets are alive with scooters weaving through traffic, street vendors calling out their wares, and cafes spilling with students and artists discussing poetry, politics, and dreams. Tehran is a city of contrast, chaotic yet ordered, fast yet reflective. Here, you can see the energy of a nation looking forward while honoring its roots. Step into the traditional neighborhoods, and the pace slows. Alleyways reveal hidden gardens, courtyards with pomegranate trees, and homes adorned with delicate latticework. The air carries scents of fresh herbs, simmering stews, and warm bread. Children play under the watchful eyes of grandparents. Life unfolds in rhythms that feel almost timeless. Markets, or bazaars, are more than just places to buy and sell. They are hubs of social life. In Shiraz, the Vakil Bazaar stretches through covered alleys, each turn revealing carpets woven with centuries-old patterns, copper bowls polished to a mirror sheen, and spices stacked in rainbow-colored pyramids. Every stall has a story. Merchants speak with pride, not just about their goods, but about their families, their craft, their city. Bartering is an art form, yes, but it is also a conversation, a connection. Iran's people are storytellers. In small villages, elders recount tales of kings, poets, and heroes under the shade of apricot trees. These narratives carry values, lessons, and humor across generations. Even in urban centers, poetry seeps into daily life. Lines from Hafez, Rumi, and Saadi appear painted on walls, whispered over tea, recited in gatherings. Poetry is not an art for the elite. It is the language of the soul, accessible to anyone willing to listen. Hospitality is a defining trait. Travelers are rarely strangers for long. A cup of tea is offered before questions are asked. Guests are invited into homes for meals that stretch across hours, plates filled with saffron rice, stews rich with herbs, and bread baked in clay ovens. Conversation flows easily, often accompanied by laughter that feels unforced, authentic. Iran's hospitality is not for show. It is embedded in the culture, a reflection of generosity and pride. Religion shapes daily rhythms, but it is intertwined with culture rather than imposed upon it. Mosques punctuate city skylines, but their presence goes beyond worship. They are centers for education, art, and community. During Ramadan, streets fill after sunset, with families breaking fast together, sharing food, stories, and joy. The call to prayer resonates across neighborhoods, grounding daily life in reflection and connection. Yet the country is far from static. Its youth are tech-savvy, globally aware, and creative. Universities buzz with debate and invention. Artists and musicians explore modern expressions while drawing inspiration from Persian tradition. Cafes and galleries in cities like Tehran and Isfahan host experimental exhibitions, blending music, visual art, and performance. There is tension between old and new, but it is a dynamic tension that produces vitality and innovation. Rural life remains equally compelling. In the Zagros Mountains, nomadic tribes continue centuries-old traditions. Families move seasonally with flocks, erecting black tents across highland valleys. Their existence is shaped by the land and the seasons. Shepherds guide goats across rocky slopes, while children learn the songs, skills, and stories that have sustained their ancestors. Life is demanding, yet rich with connection to nature, to community, to identity. Across Iran, the intersections of past and present are everywhere. Streets built by dynasties centuries ago now host electric scooters and modern cafes. Ancient mosques stand beside contemporary art galleries. Desert caravans once carried silk and spices along the Silk Road. Today, highways and railways link distant cities, yet the rhythm of trade, hospitality, and culture persists. In observing its people, their resilience, creativity, and warmth, you realize that Iran's true story is not just in its monuments or landscapes. It is in the moments of human connection, the persistence of tradition, and the curiosity of its youth. Iran endures not because of walls or mountains, but because its people carry forward a legacy of pride, adaptation, and grace. As the sun sets over rooftops and the call to prayer echoes across courtyards, you see it clearly. This is a country defined by its people as much as by its geography or history. Their voices, laughter, and stories resonate across valleys, cities, and deserts. They are the living heartbeat of Iran, and in their presence, the country is no longer a distant concept. It is immediate, tangible, and unforgettable. Close your eyes and imagine a land where history, nature, and culture converge into a story unlike any other. A place where snow-capped mountains rise above deserts that shimmer like gold in the sun, where turquoise domes catch the light of dawn, and where cities pulse with life yet retain a timeless serenity. Iran is that place, a masterpiece that defies expectation and challenges every preconception. And now, we step into the final chapter of this journey, exploring the ultimate convergence of Iran's wonders, the moments and places that leave you breathless, humbled, and inspired. Begin in the heart of Isfahan, walking across the iconic Sio-se-Pol Bridge at twilight. Its 33 arches stretch gracefully across the Zayanda River, reflecting in water that mirrors the fiery hues of sunset. Families gather along the edges, children run freely, and musicians play softly beneath the arches. The bridge is more than stone and water. It is a living, breathing space where community, history, and artistry meet. At night, lanterns glow softly, casting warm light that dances across the arches. Here, you understand that beauty in Iran is not static. It is lived, experienced, and shared. Travel to the southern deserts, where the Lut Desert unfolds like a vast, silent canvas. In the heat of the day, the sand glows amber, and wind-sculpted yardangs stretch endlessly into the horizon. Yet it is at sunrise and sunset that the desert transforms. Light and shadow play across ridges, creating shapes that seem to shift like memory itself. Silence dominates, broken only by wind brushing over sand. In that vast quiet, you feel both small and infinite. The desert teaches patience, resilience, and the humility of standing before forces far older than any human hand. In the mountains, Mount Damavand rises majestically, its snow-covered peak piercing clouds that drift lazily below. This dormant volcano, the highest in Asia, is a symbol of endurance, strength, and legend. Climbers speak of thin air and panoramic views, where the horizon stretches beyond imagination. From these heights, you see Iran in layers. The green Caspian forests, the golden deserts, the red clay villages, and the turquoise-tiled cities. Every landscape is connected, each one shaping the culture, economy, and soul of the country. No exploration of Iran is complete without its hidden gems. The Pink Mosque of Shiraz, where sunlight through stained glass transforms a hall into a living rainbow. The quiet alleyways of Yazd, where windcatchers rise like silent sentinels above mud brick homes. And the caravanserais, remnants of Silk Road commerce, where traders once met under lantern-lit courtyards. These spaces are not merely historic. They are reminders that human creativity, devotion, and ingenuity endure through time. Step further into the north, and the Caspian forests reveal a softer side of Iran. Mist hangs over moss-covered trees. Rivers sparkle in filtered sunlight. Birds call from high branches. Here, life moves differently, slower, gentler, yet no less vibrant. In villages along the forest edge, locals cultivate rice paddies and tea plantations, maintaining rhythms that have existed for centuries. Every meal shared, every path walked, and every story told is part of a continuous narrative that bridges past and present. But the soul of Iran is not only in its landscapes or architecture, it is in its people. In bustling Tehran, the energy of youth mixes with ancient traditions. Cafes overflow with students debating literature, politics, and art. Markets buzz with merchants who greet customers as friends. Families gather across generations, sharing meals, laughter, and stories. Hospitality here is instinctive. Strangers become guests before they have even asked. Poetry flows through daily life, from whispered lines in tea houses to verses painted on walls. It is impossible to separate Iran's people from the beauty and complexity of the land itself. They are its heartbeat. Religion, culture, and art converge seamlessly. Mosques are places of worship, education, and community. Festivals bring streets alive with color and sound. Music bridges generations. Persian carpets, miniature paintings, and calligraphy are not merely crafts, they are living traditions, passed down and continually reinvented. The past is never distant. It informs the present in ways subtle and profound. As night falls over Iran, the desert, mountains, and cities transform again. In remote areas, stars blaze above deserts, untouched by light pollution, the Milky Way stretching endlessly. In cities, lanterns glow in courtyards, reflections shimmer across rivers, and the call to prayer echoes softly over domes. There is harmony in the contrasts, ancient and modern, harsh and gentle, grand and intimate. Iran teaches that beauty is not uniform. It is found in layers, in interplay, in the dialogue between history, nature, and humanity. Standing at the edge of this experience, you understand that Iran is more than a destination. It is a journey through time, space, and spirit. It is a place where mountains, deserts, forests, rivers, cities, and people converge into a single, living masterpiece. Its power is subtle, yet undeniable. It challenges perceptions, invites reflection, and demands awe. And as the final light fades across distant peaks, rivers, and desert dunes, a simple truth becomes clear. Iran is not only a land to see, it is a land to feel, to experience, and to carry within you. Its stories, its landscapes, its art, and its people leave impressions that endure far beyond the journey itself. Iran is Asia's hidden masterpiece, a country whose grandeur is not always shouted, but quietly, profoundly felt in every stone, every breeze, and every heartbeat of the land. As our journey through Iran comes to an end, we've seen cities that sing with history, deserts that stretch to infinity, and landscapes so diverse they leave you speechless. But the true masterpiece is the spirit of this land and its people, whose warmth, creativity, and resilience have shaped a nation that continues to inspire. If Iran isn't yet on your travel bucket list, let this journey be the invitation. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more 4K travel adventures across the world.